Hello and welcome. Kerry here from Healing Humanity. And today I'm thankful, grateful, blessed. We have our Thursday night live Q&A. We're here to answer any questions that you have. We're going to be giving away some prizes as well throughout the night. And we got some awesome people here alongside me. We've got Adam from Carnivore Today,
Hello, hello, hello.
Lynn from Midlife Carnivore,
Hello.
Renee from At Eating Meat to Walk,
Hi.
and Ashley, Carnivore Brothers. How's it going, everyone?
Hey,
Fantastic.
doing great.
Good stuff. All right, why don't we start? There is a link in the description below for each of the people you see here on the screen, and we're going to do some giveaways. And how this works is you need to make sure that you're following Adam, Lynn, Renee, and Ashley. There's a link below. You just click it, subscribe to them on YouTube. It takes about a minute. And I think the first prize we're going to give away is a Redmond salt shaker. This is a $20 value. It's a little portable travel size salt shaker. And you have to post your best question. It's got to be a question with hashtag salt. And you have to make sure you're following everyone here on the screen. So please post your best questions now. And in a couple of minutes, we're going to do a random drawing for the Redmonds portable salt shaker. All right. Do we have any questions so far? Let's see here. We got some new members. Love It 123 is a new member. Stacy and Susan, thank you so much for that. All the memberships we get here go 100% towards the documentary. Papa Carnivore is in the house.
All right.
Carnivore's here.
While we're waiting for some questions, Kerry, do you want to maybe put a little seedling out there about potentially what we might be sharing?
Yeah, what we got coming up?
Yeah.
Actually, I think I have a new graphic here. Let me see. Ashley probably knows a little bit about this one.
Yes, indeed. What's crazy is I was just looking at it. Did you know we're only 3 weeks and 2 days away?
That's crazy.
It's crazy how fast it's already coming up. So yeah, our next meetup, Seattle, Washington, with Dr. Baker. That's going to be so great. Dr. Kiltz, Dr. Nelson coming back. Bella, Steak and Butter Girl is going to be there. I mean, we've got a great lineup with Coach Lisa too. I mean, it's going to be super, super exciting. And we're doing this one a little different. We've got a theater that we're doing this in and getting to see some of the behind the scenes footage, stuff like that on the big screen, which is just always exciting and super cool because we all can't wait for this documentary to come out. So get a little preview that way. That's exciting. And then afterwards, praying the weather's great, we're going to have a really cool, fun little picnic in the park. So if y'all haven't got your tickets yet, please get them fast. And hopefully you'll be able to come out. It's going to be a great event.
Yeah, exciting stuff. So there's a link in the description below, healinghumanity.movie/events. And we have the Washington meetup. We're going to be in Boston, Montello. Where else? Montana.
Yep.
Lots of meetups. So make sure you check
Possibly
that.
DC coming soon.
Possibly
more details.
DC. Yep. We just finished a big one in Canada. Thank you for everyone that came out to that one.
And Tampa, we got Tampa in November. Use coupon code HHLife if you get tickets to Hack Your Health.
Yeah. For those of you, if you guys are like, there's one event I can go to this year. Well, you should come to one of ours, but Hack Your Health is, if I'm being honest, I would pick Hack Your Health. And we're going to be there. Adam and I will be there. A bunch of us on the team will be there. And Bill Knott is going to be coming out and speaking at Hack Your Health. So, yeah.
And aren't we going to be at Low Carb for Better Health?
That's another one, right? When's that one?
September
12th
and 13th.
Yeah. So make sure if you guys are interested in any of these, or if you're wondering if we're going to be in your area, you want to attend one of these meetups, healinghumanity.movie/events. Adam, what was that code again for Hack Your Health?
HH Life.
HH Life. I think that's like $100 off. They have a lot of different ticket packages. So HH Life will get you $100 off. That's a three-day event in Tampa. Going to be a good one. So while you guys are gathering your questions together with hashtag salt, we also have our healinghumanity.life membership site. and you can get 50% off right now. Use promo code LIFE525, and there's a link in the description below for that. So if we don't get to your question, we can always answer it there. I think we have like 12 Zoom calls a week, breaking addictions, experts. We've got courses. It's a big community. We just got off a call. It was a lot of fun, our Inspire Together call. So come on and join us out there if you'd like. You can get 50% off right now. All right, should we take some
Kerry, are
questions?
we going to have to get stickers, like car stickers that resemble Salt Life, HH Life?
Right, yes. More stickers.
HH Life, baby. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, we got some good questions now. Remember, hashtag salt with your best question. First one is from Steven or Stefan. How do I switch from keto to carnivore realistically?
I think it depends on your personality, to be honest. And that's what I've heard from talking to a zillion people who've made that transition, because some of us, like me, are a all or nothing type person. And I went cold turkey, but if you're gonna go cold turkey, you need to know that you need to give yourself the support with fluids and probably electrolytes as well, especially salt. Make sure you're getting plenty. But I think the most reasonable thing is to transition if you can. Like I said, I was a cold turkey person, but just go, maybe start with, if you're on a full-blown standard American diet where you're eating junk, start with getting rid of the sugar, and starchy carbs, and then maybe go down to keto and then go to carnivore.
And that one says from keto to carnivore, so you're almost there. I mean, it's not that much of a transition from there. So
sorry, I misread the question. Just do it.
The only thing I was going to add on that is that you're, depends on the type of keto you are, right? If you're buying a bunch of keto products in the stores and things like that questionable and whatever, that may be a little bit more of a tougher transition. But if you're doing true keto, just whole foods, your transition will probably be pretty quick and easy.
Well, they call it the keto flu because it can happen to you when you're even going keto. It's going from using glucose for fuel to using ketones for fuel, getting into nutritional ketosis. And so if you're keto already, then hopefully you are already in nutritional ketosis. So the next step to go carnivore shouldn't cause you distress.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. It's a lot harder to go from standard American diet to keto, but from keto to carnivore, you got it. Go for it.
Yeah, go for it. Totally.
I always tell people too, don't look at it like I'm going to do carnivore for the rest of my life. I'm going to do carnivore for the rest of my life. But if I would have started that way on day one, going from keto to carnivore, that would have been overwhelming and too hard to wrap my brain around. So I always tell people you can do anything for 30 days, commit to 30 days. If you're already doing keto, it's not that much different to go from keto to carnivore. So go for it. You got it. All right. We got another question here. Kind of similar to what Lynn was saying earlier from Papa Carnivore. What is the best way to start carnivore for newbies? Cold turkey or ease into it with keto?
I think I read that question.
Hot turkey.
Hot turkey. Yeah, I think actually I read that question on the side when you pulled up the other one, and that's the one I was actually answering.
You're right.
So, yeah, so we basically just answered that, and it's a person. For me, it's a personality thing. I am going to have to be an abstainer. I don't transition and do in the intermediate stuff well at all. It's an all or nothing thing. And so for me, making the transition and I did do this, I tried this before, by slowly cutting things out, cravings were still there. And that definitely caused a problem for me. I had to know that those cravings were going to go away quickly. And so for me, it was cold turkey. But if you can moderate and you can handle maybe doing a month transition, then, you're probably going to have less of a keto flu situation.
Yep. I agree with you 100%, Lynn. I'm an all or nothing kind of person. I want to see results, and I want to see them now, right?
Yes,
So
yesterday.
jump all the way in. But I did that, and I probably should have watched a few more videos to know, to increase my electrolyte intake at the start, and understand that don't trust a fart in the first 30 days. So definitely, you got to watch out for that. So just those are the two main things you really have to worry about if you're going to dive all in. And then things you have to worry about on the other side if you transition slowly is, like Lynn was mentioning, you could potentially still have cravings, or you're feeding into those cravings if you're going too slow. So
Good stuff. All right. Aunt B said, Kerry, did the weather pass you uneventfully? I certainly hope so. I'm not sure. We're still undecided. I think we're okay, though. We've got some crazy weather going on here in Wisconsin. But thank you for asking, Aunt B. Jen is monitoring everything, and she'll drag me out of here. If you see me getting pulled out, it's probably because Jen's overreacting, but better safe than sorry. So,
or if the screen just goes blank, we'll say some quick prayers for you.
See me like spinning around. And Dane has asked, have any of you ever talked to JFK Jr., RFK, any possibility of getting him in the documentary? No, I've talked to a couple people that have worked with him, though. So I don't know if anyone else here has talked to him.
No such luck. But Dane, if you've got an introduction, I'm sure we'd be happy to talk to him.
Yeah, if you have
I love a lot of the things he's doing and saying that, is definitely putting a bigger spotlight on eating, at least eating healthier, right? But there's even been a few mentions of carnivore and definitely keto. So love that.
We've been trying to get on his radar.
Yeah. I had a woman, Kelly Ryerson, who's worked closely with him on my channel. She's the glyphosate girl on Instagram. But anything to make sure that one of the reasons I'm so passionate about this documentary too is for our children and this next generation. And I think that's something hopefully everyone can agree with. Tom is asking, what can I do to keep my glucose more level?
That's Nina.
Oh, Nina.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good question for eating meat to walk.
Why? Because I haven't said anything yet. The one thing that I noticed spikes my glucose is any dairy. So, you have to be careful what you're eating, because even though it falls underneath animal-based, it can spike your glucose. And dairy, especially milk and cream, spike my glucose. So that's one thing I'd say is watch what you're eating. More meat-based doesn't spike your glucose like dairy does.
Now, there are times, aren't there, where too much meat can cause gluconeogenesis, correct? So it could be the protein to fat ratio possibly could need to be maybe adjusted, maybe more fat.
I mean, you're going to have a spike in glucose naturally, right? Anything you eat is going to spike your glucose a little bit, but it's important to know how fast it comes back down, right?
Right.
So if you have a monitor and you're looking at that, that's one of those things. So like to Renee's point, when you eat something and it stays spiked and stays higher for longer, that's something you want to definitely consider and go, oh, wait a second, this isn't the right approach. For some people, that's dairy. For other people, it's the sweeteners, because it gives the same response as sugar does.
Yeah, it needs to come back down in a normal range within 2 hours.
All right, get some good questions here. Ernest says, I'm trying to get a hold of you about translating the documentary film, but haven't received a response to my email. Sorry about that. Maybe try shoot me another email, homesteadhow@gmail.com. We've had several people ask about that. Really appreciate the offer. We aren't quite at that stage yet, and we're kind of have our heads down working on the other parts of it, but please definitely shoot me an email, and we can, I'll try to make sure we get back to you.
Yeah.
We Are All One asks, I've been strictly carnivore for 2 years, and I cannot get my triglycerides under 130. I'm an active 48-year-old male, 140 pounds. What could be causing this?
Good. This is where we need Dr. Nelson to be here.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just wondering what the other labs are. If there's some other labs that could be involved. So strict carnivore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess,
That'd be a
and
good
you do have to
question for
define
our
strict
expert
carnivore. What,
Q&A.
what exactly does that mean? But I think that is, and where did it start from? You know, that's the other. It's kind of always hard to answer those questions, not knowing a little bit of the history there too, because it may have come down significantly down to 130, but that's where you've kind of stalled out because maybe your body's going through a healing process still, and you're still, you know, you may, just like weight loss, it may stall out for a little bit before it continues. But I don't know the answer to that. I'm just theoretically saying that, but you know, I think that's the history would also be important to know and understand there too.
Yeah, I mean, I want to know what's going on with the thyroid, and because so often the thyroid will impact other things like this. So I feel like would need more information on what's going on with the other labs. So, and also just, you know, how much fat are you eating? You know, you might need to maybe lower your fat.
Target Prime Rib, shout out Renee. Haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you back on the panel.
And
Thank
someone
you.
had a birthday recently.
I did.
Eve, happy birthday, belated.
Thank
Happy
you.
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
It wasn't a big birthday.
Was it
When
a
you
little
turn
birthday?
48, what's that supposed to mean?
2 more years until you're 50.
Right.
Where's the Beef said, some big carnivore influencers have been carnivore for years, but state when they eat pepper or onions, they break out badly. Shouldn't the body heal after all those years?
Well, I know are we talking pepper like grated, like the seasoning, or peppers? Because peppers are nightshades. There's a lot of anti-nutrients, toxins in nightshades, but pepper itself is high histamine. You know, onions, hard to say.
I will say I eat onions occasionally, and it doesn't cause me breakouts at all, anything like that. I think everybody's a little bit individual on what it reacts. But I saw a video today, actually, it was really good, and I can't even remember I don't remember the guy who did it, but it was really good, talking about, you know, just that all plants have plant toxins in it. It just depends on what degree, right? And so there is an impact from anything from a plant, but there's varying degrees, and it depends on how your body also reacts to it.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, we have varying degrees of sensitivity to these things, and so very often, just like the first time you smoke a cigarette, it's poison. You're going to cough and hack, and your body's going to do everything it can to get it out of you. But then if you keep smoking, your body just gives up and you stop having that reaction. And so with toxins out of your system for a long time, it may be that some people that are extra sensitive may just have that initial reaction very quickly and easily. I can give my daughter as an example, who's only now been carnivore for about less than a month, but going on a month. But she told me yesterday that she had made a batch of chocolate chip cookies for someone, and she caved in the other night and she had 2. And within just an hour or so after eating it, she had really bad tachycardia, and she never responded that way before. And so it's just, some people I think are more sensitive than others.
To your smoking analogy, I mean, I think that's the same thing. If you get off of it, once you get, you know, off of it, and you say you're a carnivore for a long time, and you reintroduce something, the reaction often seems to be more extreme, right? Like it's just like your smoking analogy. You'd start coughing and hacking immediately. It wouldn't be like you'd just go back to where you could smoke, you know, 3 cigarettes a day and have no issue with it, right? Like that, your body's going to have that reaction probably more rapidly and you know, a little stronger than once you've been off of it for 2 years, as this one said, I think.
And I honestly see that maybe this is the sign that your body has healed, because it's actually communicating to you very quickly, whereas before, when you're just putting all these toxins in your body, it just like when you keep smoking, it gives up. And it's like, okay, the body's awake now, and it can react and tell you when it doesn't like something. And it's going to be different for individual people. But the pepper, I know pepper, like ground pepper that you'd put on food, is high histamine. So some of these people may have histamine issues like myself.
And Lynn, I agree with you. I think that once our body's healed, then it's a lot easier for us to actually listen. There's no background noise, and our gut tells us what it does and doesn't want.
Yeah.
My husband used a seasoning today that I hadn't had, and I immediately was itchy, my whole entire body. So I react to seasonings like crazy, and I never used to.
Yeah.
So I think once the gut becomes healthy, then it tells you what's what.
Mhm.
Yeah, and the plants, they basically warn you, right? The
do.
black pepper makes you sneeze. I've
Yeah.
never had a ribeye make me sneeze. Onions will make you cry, but ribeyes won't. Well, actually, Kerry's made a couple that almost made me cry.
Because they're so good.
Happy tears.
Happy tears or sketches? Awesome. Good stuff. Hey, shout out Bill Knott is in the chat.
Hey, Bill.
Everyone go check out Bill's channel. Like I said earlier, for those that just jumped on in the meantime, Bill is going to be out at Hack Your Health in November in Tampa, speaking on stage, sharing his story. It's going to be exciting, so come join us out there. Pam is asking, does it matter caps or not for the giveaway word? Hashtag salt is the word. I don't think it matters.
I don't think so.
Pretty sure it doesn't matter. So, but just a quick reminder, if you have a question, post it now with hashtag salt. We're going to be doing a drawing in just a minute for the Redmonds $20 salt shaker. Hashtag salt with your best question. Frank is asking, can you buy the sample bottles online? We have those on the website.
Is he talking about these ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, you absolutely can. We even get them off of Amazon. There's you can get an individual one, I think a 3-pack or a 6-pack. Just type in the travel size. Redmond's real salt travel size.
But I just buy the big thing of the Redmond salt, and I just refill mine.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. These little guys are kind of expensive if you just keep buying those over and over again. So to Lynn's point, get the larger bag. It's a lot cheaper, and then refill.
Dane is asking, should you be concerned about too much iron in your blood if you eat a lot of red meat?
If your body is healthy and functioning properly, and you should be fine. Heme iron is the type of iron that is in red meat. It's more readily absorbable and available than iron that you would get from other plant sources. So, but it is one of those things that you should get lab work done. And just make sure, get your ferritin levels checked. If your ferritin levels are high, get your iron levels checked. I happen to have high ferritin levels, and I think it was because of just carryover from big mast cell flare. So my doctor checked iron in it. That was fine. And I've been eating so much red meat, and there's no problem. So as long as your body is functioning well, you shouldn't have a problem with iron.
All right, we got a histamine question. This is up Lynn's alley. Is the histamine less if the onions and peppers are cooked first?
That's a really good question. And because I've only really been studying histamine as carnivore, I don't know the answer to that. I know how cooking impacts histamine in meat, but I don't know honestly how cooking impacts histamine with vegetables. So I'll look that up in case. Actually, I'll look it up. Ask ChatGPT. ChatGPT would probably be able to answer it. But yeah, when it comes to anything histamine and carnivore, I pretty much know the answer. But I don't do veggies.
All right, Carnivore Cash is asking, what range is considered optimal for fasting insulin?
Normal or optimal? So I know, Renee, do you know optimal?
If you're fasting, optimal is 2 to 5.
Yeah.
You want it to be under 10, like, overall, but for fasting, 2 to 5 is what you're going for.
Yeah. And your lab work will tell you it's normal if it's under 10.
Yep.
Yeah.
What monitor is recommended for glucose, ketones, insulin, eating just meat to fix autoimmune rheumatoid arthritis or scleroderma, and thyroid nodules? Any suggestions? Allergic or sensitive to everything?
Yeah. Ashley, you want to tell them about the monitor? You use
I
one?
mean, the Keto Mojo is the only one that I'm familiar with that measures both the glucose and ketones. You have to have separate strips for those. So you'd actually do 2 testing strips, but I'm not sure of any that does all 3.
I use the Keto Mojo, and the glucose is not accurate on it compared to my continuous glucose monitoring and stuff. And I've noticed that it really is off by like 20 to 30 points sometimes.
Oh, wow.
So
Interesting.
for my ketones, it's great, but I don't use it for my glucose because it's not accurate.
Is there even a monitor that will check your insulin? I'm not aware of one.
I'm not familiar with one. I mean, I know there's measurements that if you're type 1 diabetic, where there's calculations of how much insulin to use, but I don't know if there's something that measures.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm not aware of anything. And then with autoimmune, any autoimmune disease, I mean, Renee's got autoimmune disease. I have immune system disease. Lion diet is going to be the best thing. And low histamine. You mentioned you're allergic or sensitive to everything. Absolutely go low histamine. Check out my histamine video on doing carnivore and on my channel. And I go into a lot of detail on how to do low histamine on a carnivore diet.
Mhm.
Because you've got to drain that histamine bucket, and that'll help you heal faster. And any other suggestions there, Renee?
I'm just starting to add fish and some chicken back into my diet, but it's been 15 months. Oh my gosh, 15 months that I stayed just beef with a little bit of bacon. But I think that the smaller your bucket of what you're going to eat is, the better off you are for healing. Lion is absolutely, I tell everybody that's what I would never do it different because I healed so fast.
Yeah.
I put my autoimmune disease in remission before a year was even up.
Yeah. And the thyroid nodules, find a doctor that'll work with you on seeing whether or not it would be beneficial to supplement iodine. There's definitely proponents for you absolutely need to, and they'll get rid of your nodules. But there's other people that are like, yeah, you got to be really careful. But find a doctor who's going to work with you and see if the iodine will help with the thyroid nodules. And Dr. Brownstein has his iodine book, which could be good to check out.
Right. And I actually ended up going on thyroid meds for my nodules, and they're gone now. But it took thyroid meds to get them there. So a functional medicine doctor would be a great place to start there.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. All right, it's about that time. We're going to give away one of the Redmonds travel size salt shakers. Do we have a drum roll?
We do.
There we go.
There we go.
There it is. It's official. Drum roll. The winner of a Redmonds travel size salt shaker is Viva Cristo Rey. Congratulations. You have won a Redmonds travel size salt shaker. How will they claim that salt shaker, Adam?
Well, Kerry, Viva Cristo Rey can go to healinghumanity.movie/giveaway, fill out the form, and Ashley will promptly send you your salt shaker. Congratulations.
Congratulations. All right, what should we give away next? How about #life? Next, we're going to give away 30-day free membership to healinghumanity.life. So please post your best question with hashtag life 1 month on the membership site. So make sure you're following each of the individuals here on the screen. There's a link in the description below, and then you just post hashtag life with your best question. All right. We have a question from Susan Hampton. My annual doctor's visit is at the end of May. What's the best plan of eating carnivore food and time of fasting before my 11 a.m. appointment that day to help give me accurate labs?
12 hours?
I've heard 12 to 16 hours, right?
Mm-hmm. Minimum of 12 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's, I think it was a Dr. Berry video once that he recommended 12 to 16, but ideally I think it was 14 to 16 hours would be ideal. So calculate that back a little bit. So what would that be? Probably don't eat anything later than 9 p.m. and, maybe as late as 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Should be good.
All right. Joyce is asking, how do I get over a meat aversion?
You need Jen here.
I know. I've never had a meat aversion, so I don't know.
Never had it. How did Jen get over hers, Kerry?
She still has one. She just eats other meats. So Jen has a meat aversion to steaks or the good stuff. She's fine with eggs and burgers and ground beef.
There's a lot of ground beef, right? Yeah.
Lots of ground beef, yeah. If it's just a temporary thing and you were eating meat for a while and all of a sudden you had an aversion, the best advice I have heard is just to maybe have a little bit of bone broth or fast for a little while. And usually after enough time goes by, that'll go away. If it's been a permanent thing, which is kind of unusual, like my wife has, she just manages by eating other things. Like she eats tons of burger patties and eggs and ground beef and chicken and turkey and things like that. So, and hopefully you'll get over it at some point. My sister has been doing carnivore for, I got to check the date, and she's got to be coming up on 2 years now. And I remember the first time I visited her, we brought over a bunch of steaks and we were cooking them up on the grill. She didn't eat any. And she's like, I just don't like steak. And I'm like, are you crazy? Like, what's going on? But she would do burger patties and ground beef and chicken and stuff like that. And long story short, I think it was about 4 or 5 months later, I was talking to her on the phone and she said, it finally happened. And I was like, what happened? And she said, I like have this intense craving for steak. And she started eating steak, and it was just like out of the blue. It just eventually, I think her body adapted to eating different types of meat, and then she started craving it more. So for some people, it might just be a matter of time.
Yeah. I always add extra salt.
Yeah. All right. Yorkie has a question. Any carnivore protocols you can share for individuals with gastric sleeve?
Yeah. You've got to, this is where we need Amy or Lindy to come on and talk about it, because they've had the procedures done, but you have to eat, smaller, more frequent meals.
Slower. Yep.
And get getting the fat in is a challenge. You need to make sure you couple it with protein. I'm going off of what Amy's told me because I did not have that procedure myself. But I know that what she said is that she needs to make sure she's coupling, her fat with the protein to help get the fat down and eat smaller, frequent meals throughout the day.
When we were with Lindy in Austin, I was amazed at how patient she was eating. And she was kind of forced to do that, but she would get her portion and she would eat a few bites at a time. And so rather than wolfing it down like I do in 15 minutes, it would take her 2 hours for a meal. But she would continually eat slowly, enjoying the conversation, still involved with what was going on, just slowed way down to slowly eat it.
Chew real well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it is possible.
Yeah. Where's the beef? How long is a good gauge to give carnivore a try for symptom relief?
Well, it depends. Some things, like with me, plantar fasciitis went completely away after 5 days, and osteoarthritis pain went away almost as fast. But my brain damage took 5 months to heal, and my autoimmune condition that I have, vitiligo, is still reversing. So, and I've been on a carnivore diet for 2 years and 3 months or 2 years and 4 months, something like that. So it really just varies based on your genetics and what it is that you have to heal and how long you've been on the diet.
And how clean, like, I won't say clean. Well, definitely clean. You want to go clean, but whether you're sensitive to bacon and eggs, and some people need to do the lion diet, like Renee and I, had to do the lion diet.
The Simple Carnivore asks, have any here had any experiences with someone with hemochromatosis transitioning to carnivore? My mom has it and is curious to start carnivore, but is afraid of the iron.
Hey, Amy again.
Amy again, yeah.
Amy, are you here?
I think she's in the
Well,
chat.
I'll add on that a little bit, because I know that was something that when my ferritin levels were super, super high, and the doctor actually tested me for that and told me about hematochromatosis, and I'd never heard the word before and couldn't have pronounced it after he said it, but it was just one of those amazing God things in my mind. That the very next Dr. Berry video, it was a Monday Night Live, he actually mentioned hematochromatosis, and so it perked my ear up, and I was like, well, wait a second. And he said it's absolutely fine. He said the body will adjust, but he said the same thing. Then he recommended, that my doctor did too, is to donate blood, and that'll help with removing some of that. But the body balanced itself out. My ferritin levels after starting carnivore, it almost stopped me from doing carnivore after my doctor gave me that report, but I'm glad I didn't. And the next time I went and did my blood work, my ferritin levels were all the way down, but I wasn't officially diagnosed with hematochromatosis. He was just looking at it for me. So I know, again, I think your body, it's a proper human diet. It knows what to do. And the iron levels, at least for anybody that I've talked to about it, will go down if your body's operating optimally.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right. Hey, we got a super chat. Thank you so much. Chris Stearns,
Woo.
$20 super chat. Appreciate that. Think of your body. Oh, this was when we were talking earlier about carnivores finding healing and then going back to eating onions and peppers and noticing it. Think of your body like a new car versus old junker. When it's new and healed, it notices scratches and dents right away. But when it's an old junker, you can run that bad boy in a ditch like eating gravy-covered cookies.
That's
a
great.
perfect analogy, Chris. I love it.
That is great. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate you. All right. Roxanne is asking, I've had an issue with wondering what is comfortably stuffed. I was a former vegan and was never full or satiated.
Dr. Chafee talks about it as until it stops tasting good.
Yeah. That's what I do.
I have a hard time with that myself because it keeps tasting good. So I don't know. Maybe I've never got comfortably stuffed. So for me, my body's different. It still tastes good to me, but I know, when I'm stuffed, and I can feel it. I really just don't want to eat anymore, and I don't have that craving to just eat anymore. But I'm kind of a clean your plate type of guy, and if it's still on the plate, I still eat it. I have a hard time knowing that myself. But you said, Lynn, yours doesn't taste good after a while.
I do notice, yeah. I notice that the taste changes as if I get to the point where I've had enough. It just, whenever I take that first bite, it's always like, oh, so good, right?
Yeah.
And it starts to wane about maybe halfway through a steak, and then it's still good. So I push it a little further, but then I'm like, I get to a point where I'm like, do I want to save this for next meal? If I get to that point where I'm like, okay, I think I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. It'll stop tasting good when I'm full.
Yeah. And it's not that it tastes bad. It just doesn't have that, exciting feeling of anymore about like, oh, this is so good. I could just keep eating. I want to eat the whole thing.
That's a good measure too, because I think of the first bite, like you said, Lynn, or if you've ever done any fasting and the first time you eat after that, it's like, oh, this is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. You start out thinking you can eat the whole thing, but if you're halfway through and you're like, yeah, I don't know if I can eat the whole thing, then I think you're probably okay stopping.
Frank, question from Frank. Do dry aged salted steaks have high histamine?
Aged, Yes. Yes. Aged and smoked are the two things when it comes to meat that you need to look for with higher histamine. So if you have histamine problems, make sure it's not aged or smoked.
Yeah, and one thing to add to that also, and I think I learned this from your video, Lynn. All meat in the store typically is aged at least 3 weeks. So if you're really, really sensitive, you have to buy meat from a special place
Yeah.
that basically flash freezes it right as they butcher it. So there is that option as well.
Yeah, depending on how sensitive you are. Yes. So I know some people order from Billy Doe Meats. They are super they don't have any hang time for their beef at all. And so some people need to do that. I don't. My butcher where I get mine and the rancher, that I work with, they hang it for like 10 days and I'm okay with that. But if it says aged, that's going to be high histamine.
All right. Thank you for that question, Frank. Regular Joe Travel says, just back on carnivore. Feel like crap right now. Been 5 days in struggling with headaches and high heart rate.
Definitely
Fluids.
take some extra electrolytes
and
for sure, because
electrolytes.
both of those issues can be low or an imbalance in electrolytes. So stock up on that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's super, super common at the beginning. So lots of fluids and definitely salt.
Yeah, especially just 5 days in, right? You probably just need a couple more days to get through that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just realize it's temporary.
Yeah. Are you wondering if you're getting off coffee too?
Yeah, that could be.
If you're also getting off coffee, that's a double whammy.
All right. V asks, have any of you had feedback from women with lipedema and how carnivore might have helped?
Absolutely. I interviewed Leslyn Keith, who is an expert in lipedema and lymphedema on my channel, so you can check that out if you want to. But I know Lynn has some experience in this too.
Well, I personally don't have lymphedema, or I probably have a little bit maybe, but not to, but I do have a close relationship with Lindy.
Right.
And I know that with her, the big key for her is her vibration plate. And so getting the fluids moving, the lipedema, I'm not sure. Renee, do you know if the vibration plate helps with the lipedema?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, it's more the lymphedema, but I know that it's inflammation. I mean, it's all inflammation. Well, at least the lipedema, it's inflammation. So as your inflammation goes down, you're going to see improvement.
All right. Driven MIA said, is it okay to go carnivore cold turkey? And then number 2, is carnivore the cure for depression or anxiety?
Sounds like a Kerry question.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, on the cold turkey, I think we covered that one earlier, but I guess as Lynn said, it kind of depends on the person. For me, I always tell people probably better to ease into it, but I didn't take my own advice and I just went right into it. But I did keto diets for years and years, so I think it was a little bit easier. In terms of is carnivore the cure for depression and or anxiety, I think in the vast majority of cases, absolutely. I'd highly recommend check out the book Change Your Diet, Change Your Mind by Dr. Georgia Ede. It was definitely the cure for my depression and anxiety after trying every single medication for 10 or 15 years for depression and anxiety. The only thing that ever cured it for me was proper human diet, eating carnivore. And Adam and I have been traveling all around the world filming interviews for our documentary, and we do it for many different reasons, but most of the people in the documentary have some form of mental health issue, and many of them, it's kind of a common thread, overcome that doing a proper human diet. So absolutely, if I had a friend or a loved one diagnosed with depression, it'd be the first thing I'd be telling them, but I tell them that anyway, so
For sure.
never shut up about it. But
And I want to add in too, because with Rhett, my brother, it was one of those that he suffered from a long time, noticed it changing immediately or pretty quickly after he started carnivore. But after his first year, he kind of fell off a little bit. And that's one of the things that convinced him that he knows that had a lot to do with his depression and anxiety, because it came back almost immediately, his anxiety and depression. And then after he's gone back to carnivore, very clean, he says it's completely gone again. So definitely being able to see the wave of it being there, gone, coming back, and then gone again is convinced him 100% it had to do with his diet.
Yeah, I had interviewed Lisa Wanderers from Australia quite a while back on my channel, and she had the same experience. And she had gone out with some friends and had some dessert with them, and the next day was back to being suicidally depressed. I mean, it had a very extreme. So she knows for her, she can't have anything off of carnivore.
Yeah. And it's different for everyone in terms of the timing. But the other interesting thing that I've seen is usually around 3 weeks, people have this whoa moment where their mood changes. Not saying that their depression completely goes away in 3 weeks, because it can take a lot longer for some people. But many people have something just a couple of weeks into it, if not sooner. So it's kind of encouraging.
Yeah. And Dr. Reed does talk in her book about how some people, their brains and the cells, the ability to metabolize and break down the glucose is dysfunctional. Whereas if you feed it ketones, it will get the ketones into that metabolic cycle so that your brain can function properly. So hard to say who has the dysfunctional glucose metabolism and who doesn't, but just that excess glucose in the brain could be the problem. And so go carnivore and see what happens. You may be one of these people that works a lot better off of ketones.
Good questions. All right. Simone says, please advise what to do for my husband who struggles to fall asleep on this way of eating.
Sounds like a question for Kerry.
Well, is your husband drinking coffee? That would be one of the things I'd ask about first. The second thing is, I've heard several carnivores that have had issues sleeping, and shout out Nia from Nia's Way. She did a big video, kind of a deep dive into this, and for her, she found it was increasing the fat improved her sleep quite significantly. And the other thing I've learned is that there's some people that just wake up in the middle of the night, like Dr. Kiltz, and he takes like 2 or 3 naps. And that's, if you look at the history, that's kind of how humans have been until more recent times, when we started forcing ourselves to have an office job for X number of hours. We would have to sleep for X number of hours. But for most of humanity, we were biphasic sleepers, and that was just kind of a normal thing. It is very discouraging, though, when one person's sleeping all night and then your spouse is waking up at 3 in the morning. But the thing that's really helped me, that I've noticed for myself, because I've had that same issue, was exercising more. I really believe for a lot of people, it's just an energy calculation. So I've been exercising regularly, and on the days that I don't exercise, I wake up at 3 in the morning. But on every single day that I do exercise, I sleep through the night. And I know it sounds so simple, but I think a lot of us on carnivore have excess energy, because prior to carnivore, our bodies were spending an incredible amount of energy processing all of this unnecessary foods that we weren't supposed to be eating. It takes a lot of energy on your digestive system to process all of these grains and roughage and salad and stuff, and seed oils and glyphosate and all of these different signals we're putting in. That takes a lot of energy. So I think when we get rid of that, a lot of us have excess energy and end up waking up more. So those are my thoughts. I don't know if anyone else here has any.
Yeah, I mean, you can also do like an hour before bedtime, vitamin D and magnesium glycinate, red light lamp on the face will actually naturally boost melatonin levels. So those are a couple things that I've learned from Coach Lisa, and they definitely seem to help.
Yeah, you can get a lot into the whole sleep hygiene too, is a whole other area, like Lynn mentioned, not getting artificial light in your eyes, having Having like natural sunlight in your eyes first thing can reset your circadian rhythm. Screen time before bed, all of those things can also play into it. We've kind of strayed far away from that.
But I can relate to the problem because I have that issue as well. I never had trouble going to sleep before, or maybe it's just I get energy in the evening.
Right. All right. Thomas, Target Prime Rib. Does smoked salt then have high histamines? Because I love my Malden smoked salts.
Yeah, I mean, anything smoked is going to be higher in histamine and everything. It just depends on your own sensitivity. But yes, if it says smoked, it's going to be higher histamine. And if you do fine with it, that's okay.
All right. Will drinking flavored element knock you out of ketosis?
What do you think, Renee?
Well, I know that flavored element has fake sugars in it. So I made my husband stop drinking it and moved him to salty, which doesn't. But I don't know that it may lower the ketosis, but I don't know that it'll completely knock you out because it's not sugar, but it will spike your insulin still. It's still a fake sugar.
Yeah.
All right. Tim is asking, does carnivore help with varicose veins?
I could swear I heard someone say that they had improvement, but
I've heard people anecdotally say that it has improved them as well. It hasn't helped with the couple that I have, but maybe one day.
Yeah, I mean, if it's the right a diet for our bodies, a diet that's good for one body part is not going to be bad for another. And so I think sometimes it just depends on like, what does your body need healing? There's some things that are just too damaged. I mean, your vascular system can be in that situation where your vein, your little capillaries, there's just too much damage. But I have heard people say that they've seen improvement. So I think it's probably very individual.
Kelly Thomas is asking, would you ever consider having a meetup in Baltimore, Maryland? Ashley, do we have any in Baltimore?
Don't have any in Baltimore scheduled yet, but what's the closest one? I guess Boston. Wouldn't be too far, right? So Boston coming up. But we've got, and then if we do have one in DC, Baltimore is pretty darn close there. And hopefully maybe you could make it out to DC. We're talking about possibly DC in September. So that's on the radar.
Yeah. Kelly, check out link in the description below. Everyone that's watching, if you want to join us at one of our many meetups, healinghumanity.movie/events. You got to register though. Don't just show up. Eric is asking, I'm 6'4", 68 years old. What should my body weight be?
You definitely have more room. There's probably charts out there, but I mean, I would think where getting a smart scale would be helpful because the smart scale there's an app that you can put on your phone. Like I use a Renfo smart scale. There's an easy app. It'll sync with, it'll give you all these metrics. And so you put in your age, your gender, your height, and, and it'll weigh you and it'll give you all these metrics. And that will tell you what your weight should be based on your age and your gender and your height. So, and they're not expensive. Like the Renfo model that I have, I think I paid about $25 for it. And it gives you so many other metrics too, besides weight. And that's why you got to be really careful because, if you're muscular, your weight may be higher, but still you may be very lean. And so that scale will give you your percentage of subcutaneous fat, how much visceral fat you have. Those are things that are really important to know because you want those things to get within a good, like ideal range. But you may have more muscle if you work out, you may have more muscle. And so your weight may be great at a little higher level than what somebody else who doesn't have as much muscle at 6'4".
Yeah, and it feels like if you do carnivore, we just kind of go to our natural weight and sort of stay there for many people. All right, let's see. Does allulose spike insulin? Was going to try RX sugar bars.
I heard it's the exact opposite. And I don't know if you've studied allulose or not, Renee. No, I've heard it's actually the opposite with allulose. Is that it actually is one of those that won't, and it could actually help. It works a little bit, from what I know works a little bit like the GLP-1 medications. It can actually help you lose weight. So, but if you eat too much, some people end up with gastrointestinal upset. Some people end up with diarrhea. So you maybe start slow if you're going to try it. But there's a lot of people that are carnivore that do use allulose.
I think those bars are fairly expensive.
They are.
If I was thinking about a choice between RX sugar bars and carnivore bar, I'd definitely go for the carnivore bar, because it's not going to have any of that. The plain ones, plain carnivore bars.
And carnivore bars are expensive too.
Yes, they are.
Right.
Yeah. But you can make your own.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yep.
All right. So we're going to do a drawing here in just a minute for 30-day free membership, healinghumanity.life. And if you don't win and you're still interested in joining our community, you can use promo code LIFE525, link in the description below. That'll get you 50% off your first month. We'd love to have you join us. If we didn't get to your question here, we can answer it there as well. We do a weekly Q&A. Before we do the final drawing, Adam, Lynn, Renee, Ashley, you guys have anything you want to mention or shout out? Any big things coming up on your channels?
You know, I'm trying to get coordinated right now between Lindy and Coach Lisa. Because Coach Lisa has been helping Lindy and I with our fitness, and Lindy, you know, since she came off of her surgery from her skin removal. And so she had us doing workouts, and we did workouts live, but then Lindy messed her hip up. So upcoming, I'm trying to coordinate something. So anybody who's older and has issues with hips, and especially if you find that you keep messing your hip up, if you try to exercise, keep an eye out, because Coach Lisa's going to come on and we're going to do kind of a, live stream with a bit of a consult with Lindy. You can join in, you can ask questions, and she's going to be providing information and maybe hopefully some good exercises to help strengthen your hips so that you can actually exercise more.
Good
That
stuff.
sounds awesome.
All right. Should we do that giveaway?
Yep.
Let's
do it.
All right, here we go. Drum roll, please. The winner of a Healing Humanity 30-day free membership is Rob Lovegreen. Adam, how can Rob claim his free 30-day membership?
Well, Kerry, Rob Lovegreen can go to healinghumanity.movie/giveaway and fill out the form, and then Lynn will send you your custom coupon code for 1 free month. Congratulations.
Awesome. Congratulations. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. Thank you for all of your great questions. We're going to be doing this again next week, every Thursday, 6 p.m. Central, so be sure to come back and join us again. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good night.
Awesome. Good night.
Bye.
Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.